forgive how I look. I was planning on doing this much earlier, then lost track of time, and now I've got to go out. I was going to then do it when I got back, but I'm not feeling 100%, so that ain't going to happen. So, just taking a load of painkillers, so excuse me a minute. Right, need to do this one. Last video I did was on ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Briefly touched on ADD, on the fact that I thought they sounded very similar. They are. ADD, attention deficit disorder. I actually learned while doing this that they actually, medically, it doesn't exist anymore as a diagnosis. Because it's a subcategory of ADHD, up until about 20 years, was it 20 years ago? I can't even read my own writing anymore. Yeah, up until like the 2000s, up until 1994, can't read this, I should have done it in a different colour, it's fucking dark out there. It's 1994. In 1994 they stopped recognising ADD as an actual medical diagnosis, and started using ADHD. That was it. ADD is just a subcategory of ADHD, plain and simple. The only real difference of the two is that ADD, attention deficit disorder, has no hyperactivity in it. So people they will class everybody, regardless of how they behave, with ADHD. It's that simple. The difference is those with ADD, they're not disruptive. It's just there's no disruption. There's no disruptive behaviours. They're not hyperactive. They're not hyperactive at all. So they don't have disruptive behaviours. That is the only difference that I've actually found. Other than that, is that it is genuinely found most commonly in children. It is this concept that children with ADD, they are very disorganised, they are very unfocused. They have this concept that they don't remember anything, they lose things, they forget things, they can't complete tasks under any circumstances, and I should have used a different colour. See, look, everything's in green. I should have used purple. I don't generally write in like black and blue. I really don't like them, so I generally write in green and purple. See, look, green and purple, that's in purple. I write in green and purple. I don't generally write in blue. I like red as well, but my red pen I keep forgetting to use it. I don't generally write in normal colours, and I wrote this one in green, and now I can't see it. Yeah, it's never a good idea to write in green when it's not very nice outside, and my eyesight isn't that great. So yeah, I can't see it that well today. So you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm gonna have to get quite close to this. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting video because I'm going to get really kind of close to the notes and close to the camera, and I should turn the light on, but that means getting up, and I can't be arsed, and I can't be bothered, and the pain meds haven't kicked in yet. So you're going to have to go with me on this one because, yeah. Right, anyway, back to ADD. Right. What am I doing? Okay, so the thing about people with ADD is that they have no sense of how to prioritise things. They can't. Generally, people can prioritise a list, you know, things that are most important at the top, right down to things that if they don't get to, it's no big deal. You know, the least important things are at the bottom, aren't they? You know, as long as you get the top things done, you're okay. You know, things at the bottom, it's not that big of a deal if you don't really get to them by the end of the day, but you know, you prefer to, you know, and they get to the top of the list the next day. You know, people with ADD, they don't know how to make a list. So people with ADD, they don't make lists, they don't know how to. So they don't know how to prioritise tasks, so they will not make a list because they don't know how to make one. So they won't prioritise tasks, they don't finish things like homework or assigned chores. Yeah, so if you assign them a set of chores and you give them, if you just sort of give them those chores and tell them to just get on with them, they won't prioritise those chores at all. They'll just fluff about with them. They'll never finish any one of them, they'll just get them done. Like, they'll get bits of them done as they go along, but they'll never actually finish any of them. You know. So people with ADD, your best chance for you to actually get any of them done is for you to write them a list and tell them to do it in order and ask them to tick it off when it's finished. Or even give them one job to do and ask them to finish it and tick it when it's done. You know, it's never a good idea to give them a lot of things to do and ask them to just get on with it, because they'll never finish it, they'll never complete anything, and they'll never prioritise the jobs. In schools, they'll never complete their assigned work in class because they'll never be able to focus long enough. Although they're not disruptive in class, they'll never be, you know, all over the place, they'll never get up and move around like people with hyperactivity. They don't need like fidget toys, they don't need anything to help them focus, they just don't focus. They just can't, don't know how to. They're just like that. They are completely disorganised. They have a complete lack of attention. So when I say they're disorganised, they don't know what organisation is. They have nothing. They have no way of organising themselves. So when you talk about their rooms, if they've got a locker at school, if they're, you know, they've got a desk, they can't keep track of things, so their room will look like it's a dumping ground. I mean, we all know that children and teenagers, their rooms look a mess anyway. I mean, any parent will tell you that. But their rooms will look 10 times worse because tidying it up will be almost impossible for them because they'll never find a home for anything. You know, they won't know where to put it. You know, the concept of actually finding out how to tidy up will be difficult for them, you know. And the same things will go for school. They won't know how to organise anything at home or at school. So when it comes to their school stuff, again, everything will be shoved. There will be nothing organised about it, you know. So they can't ever keep track of anything they do. So all their schoolwork will be a mess. All of their homework will be in chaos. And their room, they'll never find a thing, ever. Everything will get lost. So people with children, or parents of children with ADD, your best bet if you ever want them to keep hold of their keys, you know, especially keys or things of absolute importance, make sure you've got like ways of making sure they don't lose it. Keys can go on rings that can be locked into bags. Keys can, you know, gloves can go on strings that can go round their coat. You know, things like that you can use when they're young. I don't know how you do it as teenagers because teenagers don't do anything. I would say you could organise their schoolwork as teenagers by putting it in a folder, but they'll never use the folder. I don't know how that would work. And I do not envy my sister when she gets into her teenage years and my niece who has ADHD has to start doing lots of work. I don't envy that at all. And they genuinely are late for everything because they're so disorganised. I would honestly, alarms. everything. They're the types of people that would need 50 different alarms to get them up in the morning, starting about an hour and a half early. Because they are the type of people that are late for everything. Children with ADD, teenagers with ADD, adults with ADD, they are late for everything. And I mean everything. They are never on time. Because they lose everything as well, you are better off making sure all their stuff is laid out, that you find it all the night before. Not sure how you do that, but parents, we have a lot more control over their stuff when they're little. As teenagers, it gets a little bit harder, but we still have some control. Adults, we have no control and no idea how that works. But we have a little bit more control when they're kids. Make sure it's all ready the night before, otherwise they're just never going to get there on time. There's just alarms for everything, otherwise they're never going to get there. They are late for everything. They have an inactivity. They can't pay attention to anything. They have a complete lack of focus, and when we say that, they just don't care. There's this moment where you look at them, and when you're looking at their inattentiveness, and there's this feeling that they just don't seem to care about anything at all. You know, it's like they don't care about their education. They don't care about... Yeah, they just don't really care. There's this absolute thing about people with ADD that they just don't seem to give a toss. You know, their lack of focus, their inability to focus on anything, their lack of attention, and there's this, you just look at them and the way they behave, it's like they don't care about their education and they just don't care about anything, and they don't want to pay attention as well. There's this, I suppose a lot of people look at people like that and they go, do you not care about your education? Do you not want to pay attention? And there was this point a long time ago where people go, they're just daydreamers, and you know, and they are daydreamers. They daydream all day long. They will just sit inside their own heads. They are those people that you take a look at and who are described as shy, or they're inside their own heads. That is what their style does, and they are described like that, as daydreamers, or inside their own head, just kind of whittling away their life, not really paying attention, not really caring, you know, not bothered. They're those types of people, you know, especially in school, and you can pick them out. You know, you're sitting in a classroom with a load of people, all these kids, all day in and day out, and you can pick those people out all the time because the teachers will zone in on them as well. Stop daydreaming, start concentrating, and they're picked on day in and day out by the teachers who are constantly telling them, you know. And when asked, they will tell you they're bored and that they don't care. That is what they will tell you. They will tell you they are bored and that they don't care. You know, and it's probably true, but at the same time you sit there and you look at them and think, really? Do you really not care? But people with attention deficit disorder, they really don't. And it's a sad thing to have to say, but they actually don't care. You know, completely forgetful. I mean, it's not a simple task to just forget about things. I mean, people with ADHD, they do forget about everything, but they're completely forgetful. They forget to complete not just tasks, but they'll forget appointments, they'll forget anything that's scheduled. And it's only because they're so disorganised. So if you schedule something, they will, unless the parents are organised enough to make sure that they go and they are reminded constantly, they will completely forget about it. Completely forget about it. And when you head to school and you've got to go and pick them up from school to go to an appointment, while they're at school, they'll forget it. They've even got to be going. If you say, right, I'm going to pick you up at such and such a time for your appointment, they'll go to school. Once you've gone, they'll forget that you're going to pick them up for their appointment because they'll forget they've even got one. So you'll go and pick them up, and they would have forgotten it's even happening. So they'll be completely shocked that you're there to pick them up, and they might be a bit annoyed with you for even daring to come and pick them up from school. I didn't know about this, why didn't you tell me? Well, you did, you just forgot about it. And it is purely because they are just so disorganised, their brain just doesn't remember anything. The disorganisation in their head is just they completely forget about it. And even though sometimes they turn homework in, they will remember sometimes, although generally as well they forget to turn the homework in. If they do, it will be incomplete. It won't be like most people, if they forget to turn homework in, they'll be like, I'm really sorry I forgot it. And they'll either get in trouble for it, or they'll be, if they've only done it like this the first time, they might be like, okay, well, we'll give you till like tomorrow to hand it in. They will be constantly forgetting to hand it in, and if they do manage to hand it in, it will be incomplete. They will never finish a piece of homework. Not ever. Not ever. They will also find that it's really challenging for them to be in social situations. They struggle with it. They struggle with their social skills. But I want to make it clear that not all people with attention deficit disorder will have issues with their social skills. There are some that have no problems with social interactions, but there will be those that will have social challenges. Those that do find it difficult will have difficulty in finding friends, because they tend to talk at them. They will change the subjects. They won't focus on a single subject of conversation. They'll just talk about whatever they want. They'll keep changing the subject. They're just like, whatever subject they want. 1 minute they'll be on something completely different, and then they'll change it again. They'll never be able to keep up with a conversation with somebody, because they'll never stay on a single subject of conversation. And they don't always understand social rules of etiquette, or social etiquette rules, I don't know much. So they don't always understand those social etiquette rules, social rules of etiquette. They don't always understand them, so they'll get them wrong, they'll get them mixed up, and there'll be a lot of mishaps and misconceptions about them. So they'll struggle in those ways. It's not always going to be easy for them to thrive in social situations like that. But the reality is, other than that, those real issues, it's just like ADHD, bar the hyperactivity. Those are the only real differences that I found, and they're not really that different. It's more that it has inattentiveness that is so severe that they can't function on a day-to-day basis without a lot of help. Reality-wise, somebody would need to be there constantly to make sure that they, 1, got up, 2, got to where they needed to be, and 3, actually managed to function as a human being. So, I mean, the reality is, only parents, teachers, and still use the term ADD. All medical professionals use ADHD now. They don't even acknowledge attention deficit disorder. They don't even acknowledge it as a condition anymore. They put it under ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And although they understand there are subcategories of that, it's a bit like autism. There's a lot of differences. There's so many categories of it. There's subs of it. It's all under one banner. You know, that. So it's all under attention deficit hyperactivity disorder now. So it's just that simple. As of 1994, ADD became ADHD. And the only biggest difference between the two is that there's no hyperactivity, there's no disruptive behaviours in the condition. But the inattentive behaviours that are inside that condition are very real, and they can be life-altering from what I have found. It's not easy for someone with that condition to be able to thrive in society. You know, with everything that we have to do and every way that we have to live, it's not going to be an easy ride for them. They have to be able to do a hell of a lot more than just get up and fumble around, because that's all they literally do. They get up and they hope that they get along through they just like fumble through the day. Realistically, that's what they're doing. You know, the fact that they manage to get up and get through the day is incredible. Yeah. A lot of people with ADD, they actually do have fulfilling lives. As I say, my brother-in-law has ADD or ADHD. He works. He struggles sometimes to hold down his job. But none of us really like him. Reality-wise, none of us do. He's not a very nice man, but that's more his personality rather than his condition. But the reality is, he is capable of holding down a job. And people with ADHD can hold down jobs. They can work in society. They can thrive in society. It's just a struggle for them. You know. Now, I'm going to go, and medication's kind of kicked in as well. I am going to go, and I'm going to see you all later. There will be a random video popping up at some point, but I'll speak to you later. Bye.